So to start things off this time, I'm gonna go over a few things, I think, in regards to the state of the world and a couple of plans and stuff. The first thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that my incompatible enchants trident is missing. This is the protection one that went through the, protection enchantment stuff when that was happening. That's still in here, that's in this chest along with the other stuff. I don't know where the other trident is. I've looked through all of my chests, I've not been able to find it. So that's gone for the time being. That's not like a huge issue because I will be able to remake it in another way in I think one of the 1.20 snapshots, so I'll be able to get that back in the future, but for now I no longer have that. Alright, I also wanted to just show you the fact that the chunk borders around my sky zone area seem to have changed. Like this land border right here wasn't as close to this island in some past versions, so some kind of update has regenerated these chunks here since they were loaded for the first time in a while there, I guess. This is the island where I have my end portal room, which is in here, that's yet to be decorated, but these borders are shifting and moving, and also the one over along this side is quite a bit closer than it was previously. I don't know if there's still the other border. Huh. I didn't realize this before. I've flown over this area just, a bit every now and then. But I didn't realize that some of the chunks had been regenerated, but some of the chunks still remain as they are. That makes this look really weird. Damn. Okay. Yeah, there's that. I'd also want to briefly touch on potential plans for these borders when I start, building and making stuff of this world once I get up to recent versions. So I have two potential ideas for what to do with these big border areas. The first of which is to go along this whole border edge and dig out like a big, pit, like almost like a moat, and go like a few layers into the world down to bedrock, just as like a fall off to kind of give some sense of, the world has been crumbling, and then there's just a massive pit which leads into the void. My second idea is to use these walls as some kind of canvas, and then try to make like art along these walls. It'll get deeper down when the cave update comes and the bottom of the world is expanded. Both of those options will take a lot of effort to realize, and at this point I'm not entirely sure which of those options I would rather go with. So, for now, that's just something for me to think on. The last thing that I wanted to touch on was the general idea for what I want to build in this area when I get to the building portion, which I've had an idea of in my mind for a while, sort of doing some kind of sort of futuristic, like floating circular platform things and also floating islands. And I've realized in my head that I've subconsciously been taking inspiration on that from the Aerith Sea, from Xenoblade Chronicles, and Alchemoth. So I'm gonna show you a bit of that, but I guess this is a bit of a warning. If you don't want Xenoblade spoilers, I'm gonna put a timestamp on the screen. You can skip to that timestamp. But yeah, I'm gonna show you a bit of what that looks like in-game and kind of what I have in mind. Welcome to the Aerith Sea. This is the Xenoblade Chronicles remaster that came out for the Switch some time ago. And this is the kind of thing that I'm on about. All these floating islands suspended above the sea. There's Alchemoth all the way up there, which I can't even properly show off from down here because I can't get a good look at it. There's all this, glowing plant life, these Telethia, which are these big beasts that I don't think I can really do justice in recreating in any way, but this is the kind of vibe that I've been thinking of in this area. And I'll show you Elkamoth, which is the main civilization of the High Entia, which are the people who lived here. I say lived here past tense because as a consequence of events that happen during the story of the game, the High Entia turn into the Telethia, and as such their civilization is ground to a halt. There's no life, there's no activity that goes on here anymore, because everyone who used to live here got turned into one of those, and now they roam around killing everything they see. But I think this area is just super pretty. I don't think I can do it justice through the quality of my monitor or the recording or anything like that. This game is super pretty. The whole series is really pretty and really good. Amazing games. I really recommend them for anybody who, is into JRPG, anime, game, you hit thing, you kill God, the way it goes. But yeah, the vibe of this area as such an advanced civilization, yet has been brought to ruin. I think it's so well done here, and I can only hope to kind of resemble that vibe within my world. Alright, back to Minecraft. The snapshot thing that I'm going to be abusing this time has to do with bundles. So what I need to do is go out and kill rabbits, because in this snapshot the bundle recipe was 6 rabbit hide and 2 string. So I first need to go out and find some of them. Okay, that honestly didn't take as long as I thought it would. I just had to go to over near where my sus stew guy is. And there was a bunch of rabbits there. I did get enough to make 2 bundles. So I am gonna make 2 of them. And I need to overstack these guys. Which means, doing a bit of upgrading and then downgrading again. And the way that works is that if you go to a newer version and then put a block into a bundle that's not in a previous version, if you revert, the bundle will not have the item in it, obviously, because the item doesn't exist, and then you can put something else into it, and then bring it back to the future version, and then it will have both of the different separate items that you put into it, allowing you to overstack it, and that causes irregular behavior. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have located my target. I had to go into some new chunks, obviously, to generate new caves, so that I could get some of this glow lichen, which was introduced in 21W03A. This is a snapshot I'll be back to in a little bit, since the introduction of these is useful for something else as well, but for now I just need to grab them so that I can put them in a bundle and then cause them to cease to be. So I'll bone meal a few of these up. And now I can bring these back and put them in the thing, and then bring them back to a version where they don't exist. So I'm going to be doing this in the Nether, obviously, because world reversion, snapshot interchanging, going back in versions is always a risky thing to do. So I have come out here to something somewhere new Nether chunks, and I've made what I'm deeming to be the suspicious vault. This is the vault where I'm gonna store all of the overstacked suspicious stew. I am gonna want to get quite an abundance of it, because I won't be able to get it again after this point, as far as I know, because handling overstacked items becomes increasingly more difficult, and getting your hands on them I'm not sure if is possible at any point after what I'm going to do with the bundles here. So I'm going to set this up now, and I'm going to get as much of them stored as I can for the future. And you can't put them into shulker boxes. I would have stored them in shulker boxes. You can't. because of the way that shulker boxes store data after like 1.13.2 or something. I think overstacked items in shulker boxes would be reverted to, their maximum stack size whenever you break the shulker box to pick it up. So I have to store them in chests, and I have to do this somewhere or I know it's not going to affect anywhere else. So this is the compromise that I've come up with. So I'm going to put those into there, and I'm going to go back a couple versions. And so you can now see that this bundle here is quote-unquote empty. It's not the same as this bundle, because it has the empty slot where there is data for something, but the game doesn't know what that data is because it's not something that exists in the game yet. So I can put a suspicious stew into that, and this is now going to be an overstacked bundle when I take it back to the future version, as you will see. I've just realized that doing this in such a way that has the suspicious stew in there for some reason does not allow me to duplicate the suspicious stew. Or any other non-stackable for that matter. Like, you could see I can get a very large amount of furnaces if I continue to right-click on this. It gives me a quantity equal to the amount of whatever the other quantity of stacked item in there is. Since there's 14 glow lichen in there, I can get 14 more furnaces per right-click, and obviously that's not... Furnaces is not what I want. I want the stew, so I'm gonna have to go back and put something else into this bundle with it. I'll have to do a little bit of testing, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I've set it up slightly differently this time. I've now got snowballs in there instead of suspicious stew, which stacks to 16. The glow lichen stacks to 64. Interesting. It still is not working. But it will work for regularly stackable items. And it'll work for snowballs. Kind of. It took 3 of the snowballs out, so it's less overstacked, but it's still overstacked. I'm gonna have to try something else, but I'm gonna try with ender pearls, since that's another thing that stacks up to 16 usually. I'm probably gonna have to reload the world at this point, so I guess it doesn't really matter if I go and, load my other chunks, because I'm just kind of experimenting, messing around with stuff at the moment. Such is the way things go when I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. I hadn't fully figured out how I was gonna do this overstacked stew thing. I did do some testing. I've had to kind of improvise the way that I do this, because the way that I did it in testing was slightly different, because I used the dripstone blocks as my thing to be, added and removed, but I can't get those in survival because they only generate in biomes which don't exist yet. And obviously my test was in creative. So I'm just gonna take some ender pearls and... yeah, that also doesn't work. Interesting. So it's not giving you the amount equal to how many glow lichen are in there, which is 14. It's giving you amount equal to how much it's overstacked by, which in this case is 2. So I'm getting 2 arrows every time I do that. And because of the way that bundle filling works, I assumed that it would mean that, since larger stack sizes take up more space in the bundle, I would need to be overstacked by 4 in order to get 1 ender pearl. And because Suspicious Stew has a max stack size of 1, I assume it would need to be overfilled by 64 for me to get 1 Suspicious Stew. Which means that I'm going to have to grow more glow lichen and go back and try this again. Because when I did it in my test world, I did use a full stack of items and it did work then. So that's what I'm going to try now. So what I have now is a bundle overstacked by 64, and I'm hoping that, yes, there we go. Right clicking on that will now give me additional Suspicious Stew. And so what I'm going to do with this is stack it up to 64. And then I can't just put this back into my inventory regularly. I have to throw the stack onto the ground, and then pick it up, and then it'll stack. And then I can shift click it into the chest. And that's how I can successfully, safely store these. And then in future versions, in order to get it back out of the chest, I'll have to hover over it and then use the hotbar number keys, because I'll only be able to get these into my hotbar without them unstacking. So I'm gonna spend a good long while getting a lot of these stews to build up a supply that should last me hopefully for a long time. So I've had to dial it back a bit. The initial plan for 22 double chests was a bit excessive, because as you will see when I open this chest and take this bundle, my FPS has plummeted from 60. It is now at 30, and when I look at the bundle, it drops down there. When I look at the bundle, it drops down to 10, 15, because what's happening is every time that I'm duplicating something into this bundle, it is getting a quote-unquote ghost version of it, which is why there's all of these air things, because whenever the bundle receives something that is a negative quantity, it turns it into air, but it keeps its NBT data. And I'm assuming that Suspicious Stew has this NBT tag to determine what effect it's going to give you. And so for each Suspicious Stew that I've put into the bundle, of which there is, 11 double chests full now, that's just adding more and more data for this bundle to store. So when I hold it in my hand, the game gets very choppy. The easy fix is to just, overstack another bundle, do it again, but I feel like this is plenty enough. I do want to show you, however, what happens in this version when I eat an overstacked Suspicious Stew. Oh, I can't. I have to pick it up like that. So when I eat the stack of stew, it consumes the whole stack and gives me 1 bowl. And it only gives me the effect once. This is fixed in a snapshot later down the line, so I can't actually make use of eating all of these yet, but I have them saved for later. Oh, I did also want to do one more thing. I maxed out this pickaxe. Oh, maybe I should make it netherite. Should I make it netherite? I should make it netherite. Okay, I'm good. I've maxed out the enchantments on this pickaxe, and I renamed it to Stack Axe. But there is ancient debris in the game now, so I could turn it into a netherite pickaxe. I think I'm gonna do that. Even though that is gonna have to mean that I'm gonna have to do that tomorrow, because it's late, and I need to go to bed. It's the next day now, and while I was recording that last clip, because I was very sleepy, I didn't think to remember that, this bundle thing is a general item dupe. So in my mind I was like, oh, I gotta go out and get a bunch of ancient debris to, get a bunch of netherite scraps, but no, I can just do that. Just simple as. And that saves me the effort, and this is before they added the armor trims and templates and stuff. So I don't even need a netherite template. I can just put my pickaxe in here with the ingot, and it just works, and then I can start stacking that up. Just like so. And now I have a 64 stacked pickaxe. I am gonna get stacks of the enchanted books that I have. I don't have all of them at the moment. I may go out and get the rest of them. These are just the ones that I have sorted by category. There's the sword stuff, bow stuff, general things, trident stuff, armor stuff along the bottom, pickaxe stuff there. And then I don't have any of the like crossbow stuff. I don't have all of the trident or fishing rod enchantments. I don't have Frostwalker. I don't have Depth Strider. There's a lot of the newer enchantments that I'm missing because I set up my villager trading hall when enchanted books were first introduced, which is many, many versions ago, and a lot of enchantments I don't have because they didn't exist back then. So I may go on a bit of an adventure because I still have not set up a villager trading hall and I am still lazy. And it'll be easier for me to just go out and get one of each book from villagers across the world, and then I can bring them back here, and then I can make a bunch of them, and then that should last me a while. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Because I really went into this bundle dupe with the mind that, oh, I'm just gonna get a bunch of soup, and I'm just gonna fill up on suspicious soup, and then I'm gonna move on. And it didn't even register in my mind that, like, oh yeah, I can just get as much of whatever I want during this period. So I'll probably be spending a bit more time here than I initially thought, but that's okay because it'll set me up a bit for the future, so I don't mind. So I was heading back home after getting the Soul Speed 3 book from the Nether. I thought I'd stop off at Spawn to get some more of my pork chop supply that I left here, but as is apparent, the spawn area has become very irregular. Like some mass of the chunks have regenerated in seemingly random patterns. All of the beta chests are completely gone. You can see that there's like some areas where the Skyworld generation still persists. There's like a line of land of chunks here surrounded by new ocean. It's it's incredibly weird. Like the world corruption. I don't know if it's actually corruption. It's just like chunk regeneration, right? I don't know what causes it to apply to some chunks and not others, whether it's, when they're loaded, but in the case of the spawn chunks, which are always loaded, I don't know why it's like weird patterns of new and old chunks. It's really strange. Alright, I'm gonna try this jack-o'-lantern thing again. It's been many versions that I've been trying to get these curses onto this jack-o'-lantern, and finally it is able to be done, so that can officially be checked off for whichever part of the list that I already checked off in, whenever I did that. That's actually done now. I am going to take one of these uncraftable potions to make a stack of as well. I don't really know that there's, like, anything that I need to get, like, overstacks of for the sake of having the things for ease of, doing stuff in the future. I feel like maybe stacked potions could be nice, but those are things that are gonna, run out eventually regardless of how many I get, and I can't get too many because the bundle is already to the point where it's gonna be causing issues whenever it's, loaded when it's in use. So I'll probably just stick to a stack of the books, stack of these potions. I got the stack of pickaxes. I'm not gonna do it with my armor or elytra unless I can backport to this version to be able to do it, because these sets of armor are gonna. Well, first of all, they need to remain as diamond armor, at least until I can do the funky enchantment grindstone thing in 1.20, which is part of the reason why I have all of the other sets of armor down there. After that point, I may try to backport to see if I can get it stacked, but I don't know how well that's gonna work, and I wouldn't, put faith in that as something that I'll be able to do, but I will give it a go. It's just that there's no sense in me duplicating these now, because I still have to move them around, and once they're overstacked, they become very difficult to manage, especially going forward. Having them in this version where I can shift click them and, throw them onto the ground and pick up the stack, those are things that are gonna go away. So, in, the most recent versions, I believe the only way that you can safely move overstacked items is by, pressing F to get them into your offhand, or by using the numeric keys. Like if I pressed 3, that doesn't work in this version. Does that only work in future versions? I guess that's a bad example, but in future versions you have to use the numeric keys to be able to move things around your hotbar, and if you move them out of your hotbar, then you can't get the full stack back into your hotbar. So yeah, I guess the only thing for me to do now is to duplicate all of these books up. Okay. There we go. That's all of them. That's all of the new books that I've just gotten. This is all of the books that I already had. Got 64 of each, which should honestly be plenty to keep me going for the next foreseeable while. I think that's me done with this version. I will put the bundle of frame rate destruction away so that I'm not stuck at 8 FPS. But yeah, this is definitely one of the most broken parts of any of the more recent Minecraft versions, is the ability to just take a bundle and summon as much of anything as you would like out of it, at the cost of performance when the bundle is there, because there's just so much shadow entity data in that bundle. Whenever I open this chest, I can hear the fan on my computer just start going because it's trying to look at so much stuff, and my CPU is going what the heck? So yeah, I'm gonna put a save world back up here, obviously, in case anything here goes wrong in future versions and I have to go back and fix things, but I think that for the bundle dupe, that's enough for the time being. I haven't duped emeralds or diamonds or anything, but that's because I already have a bunch of those, and I can get more if I need them in the future without too much hassle. I guess the same can be said for these books, but it just saves a little time, and having a good food supply to last me for God knows how long those soups are gonna last me. But it's good food, it's the best food source in the game, and even when I do run out, I can go back to the villager and get more, because, he's not gonna go anywhere. He's barely ever gonna be loaded into the world, so the chance of him, going missing or dying is incredibly low. But, yeah, it's finally time to move on from the first thing, which has taken 20 minutes of this video. Let's see what's next. This next one is just a small little fun one. I think this shouldn't take very long at all, because it's technically something that I could have done prior to this, but it requires getting nether water, which can be done in the first snapshot that introduced glow lichen. I suppose because of the way that glow lichen registers being waterlogged in this snapshot, it only checks that it's inside a fluid and not which fluid it's inside. So if you place it where there's a lava source, it will become water, which allows you to have nether water. And so what I'm thinking here is, because sponge is now dry in the nether, what you can do is set up what I am referring to as Sisyphusian sponge, where it will continuously sponge the water and then instantly become dried, and so it'll just do this for the rest of eternity. So I'm gonna set this up on all 4 sides. And there we go. This sponge is now destined to forever attempt to drain water that will never truly be gone. I guess the first thing I should note in this version is that in this snapshot, they had temporarily disabled the loading of old worlds, which means that playing these snapshots, you're not supposed to be able to have access to existing worlds that were created before this snapshot. Obviously, that hasn't stopped me because I'm in the world. There is a workaround to that. What? Oh. Stuff is being funky. What is happening? I'm getting like spikes of, I guess you can see it happening. Like the game is stuttering and freezing a bit. Maybe that's why they don't want you loading old worlds. I guess things are a little bit unstable at the moment. My plan is to get a dog. I also need to make a weak bow. In this version, applying the glowing effect to things is permanent, and so I would like to get a permanently glowing dog. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh yeah, what I was saying is that there are ways to force load a world into a version where you're not supposed to be able to have it. This might work for April Fool's snapshots and other things that I'm looking into, maybe. We'll see, but it's pretty much just you make a new world in this version with the same name as the world that you want to load. You take the world that you want to load out of your saves folder, you make this new world with the same name, and then you close out of the world, go back into the world select screen and swap the worlds while the world select screen is still open, and then you can trick the game into loading a world that it doesn't want you to be able to. And that's how I'm able to access this world in this snapshot where usually I can't. So I'm gonna go out and look for a dog. Oh! Some of the chests have survived. God, the stuttering is really something else, huh? It's fine, I'll deal with it. At least until I can find a dog. Because as soon as I get an arrow onto them, then I can move out of this snapshot. I can worry about bringing them home in a version that's less like this. Oh yeah, oh yeah, chunk loading is not good in this version. Jeez. Maybe it would have been easier for me to find a dog beforehand, but it's too late for that now. Is that guy okay? The world is just not loading anymore. Okay, I think what I might do is reload my backup from the last version and then find the dog there and bring it back so that I don't have to deal with these shenanigans, because you know, it's kind of unplayable in this state, I'm gonna be honest. Dog, come here. Yes, my friend. Don't hurt my friend. Come on, man. We gotta get out of here so that I can shoot you. Make you a more easily noticeable presence. Don't run after the skeleton, man. Luckily, I did not have to walk very far at all from Turtle Portal to find this guy, so I get to bring him back home with relative ease. Just be careful not to walk off the edge as you almost do so immediately. Hopefully this won't kill you. Okay. dog is now glowing, and they have the particles to show that they have the glowing effect. But when the particles fade, the dog is... Oh, because I didn't change to the... Okay, let me change to the other snapshot. I'm stupid, I'm having a moment. Okay, so now if I shoot the dog is glowing, the dog has the particle effects. And when the particle effects fade away, hopefully the dog should still be glowing. Yes. I did put a torch underneath him on accident, but there we go. Dog will now glow forever, which means that if I put stuff in front of him, you can still see an outline. That's what the glowing effect does. I think that the primary use of this is in like villager raids. If you ring the bell while a raid is going on, it'll give this glowing effect to all the pillagers around, but you can also get these spectral arrows from trading with piglins and in the nether that will give the glowing effect to things for a couple of seconds. And in this snapshot, the glowing effect is permanent, which now means that this dog will forever be easier for me to locate, assuming that they don't die, which hopefully they never should, because I'm gonna put quite a substantial amount of effort into buffing up this dog so that they hopefully will never leave me. And I suppose I should also give them a name. There we go. This is Bartholomew. My little guy. Hell yeah. Now it's time for me to get out of this decrepit snapshot. Alright, I've had to skip one of the things that I wanted to do because of snapshot incompatibilities. It turns out that the previous snapshot where I got the glowing guy here is incompatible with later 1.17 snapshots because of the sky height world limit change thing. And so when I tried to load up this world in the next snapshot that I wanted, this entire area had regenerated as if it were new terrain, and then Bartholomew suffocated to death. So obviously that's not what I want. There was a big warning on the list of potentially dangerous versions that the discontinued features wiki has for 1.17, and it's like, oh, if you play the snapshots in this range of snapshots, then you won't be able to play on the rest of 1.17 because of the world height changes and it won't load correctly and yada yada. So the thing that I've had to skip over is having a bed that is permanently occupied, because in one of the other 1.17 snapshots, if you attempt to right click on a bed while riding an entity while also inside of a nether portal, the bed would become permanently occupied because of some mistake with something or another with the sleeping position. So honestly, that could have been worse. That's a relatively minor thing to miss out on, but now I am in the Deep Dark experimental snapshot. I've had to do a similar trick to what I had to do with the world incompatibility to get it working in this experimental snapshot. And I need to find a Deep Dark to get Swift Sneak so that I can put them onto a set of boots. Oh, okay. Overlapped with a mine shaft. It was also not very skulky. I don't want to collect up a bunch of this stuff for my end portal room. Sensors. Skulk. There's a second one? Is it under the lava? Blast Prod 2. That ain't what I care about. Man, the generation of this place is rough. And the loot chests seem to have a whole lot of nothing in them. Is this supposed to be a structure of some kind? Surely they can't generate like this in current versions, right? Just like completely intersected by different biomes and structures and being like completely destroyed. Oh, Fortune 1 Impaling 1. Has the chest... Oh, Okay. Not overwritten, just buried. And still with nothing useful inside. Okay. Oh no. I didn't even hear his, like, spawning noise. I just heard a groan. It's so, like, scuffed. Everything about this is scuffed. Two shriekers there with about 8 sensors between them. Not a chance I get rid of those without summoning at least one more warden, which I would rather not do. I feel like I'm gonna come out of this ancient city having gained nothing. That's the vibe that I'm getting. There's really not a whole lot here. Have I been this way? There doesn't seem to be much this way. No scope at least, but no structures at all. Just this hallway which doesn't do anything. There's this which doesn't have a chest on it. Oh, efficiency 3. Ah, wonderful. Did that not spawn a guy? Well, this seems to just get completely cut off and mauled by whatever. Is that a geode? Would help if I stopped trying to mine things with my hoe. It does not seem to be a geode. It's just like terrain generation that's completely destroyed. My warden timer does seem to have reset, which feels more forgiving than I'm used to it being. Is this whole bit of the ancient city just in an underwater cave? Wow. Okay. I don't think this is meant to happen. And I don't think it does happen in future versions. Nothing in the underwater chest. There is a shrieker there. But the glow squids are setting off the sensors, so it's not clocking that I'm here. This is so unfathomably irregular and scuffed. Because I'm pretty sure the ancient cities, usually they just, you know, there's a big old air thing that generates around them. I guess they didn't have this kind of, like, priority spawning algorithm during the experimental snapshot. There's something here. I can see the bricks. How much more is there to this that I've not seen? Because these things are always bigger than I think. There's torches over here, so I've been to this side. I don't know if I'm gonna find much more in this ancient city. It seems to have just been a whole lot of nothing. There's another shrieker somewhere. There. And there's the guy spawning. Right there. Okay. Is he hurting? I think he's suffocating. You know, it's a little bit less spooky when the big scary guy is actively suffocating. He went back into the ground. Oh, there's another guy. Okay, that's my cue to get out of here. Way. Okay. Next end said he had it. Didn't have to look through too much. This is like the third chest. I guess I'm sorry if my voice is a bit off. I'm kinda tired. It's kinda late. But I wanted to get this done. And now I've got it. So now I can stop worrying about being here for now. I'll just pick up some more of the skulk. Couple stacks. And then I'll make my way out. It's so weird, by the way, how much of these initial ancient city generations is just like not in the deep dark biome. I kind of feel like the deep dark biomes that exist in this snapshot are like a lot smaller on average than they are, you know, currently. It's almost like, you know, they made the deep dark, but they didn't account for the size of the ancient city when they were adding it, so it's just kind of really spotty and patchy. I don't know, I guess maybe I won't finish exploring this one. Maybe I'll leave right now. The wardens, by the way, don't have their, like, big shriek attack implemented yet. That doesn't come until a couple of snapshots beyond where I am currently with the implementation of the deep dark into the non-experimental builds. They add that as a counter to the fact that people can just, you know, like bridge up a few blocks. But he does not have that here, so hypothetically, if I can, you know, actually see things, which I very much cannot right now, it shouldn't be that hard to outplay this guy. Yeah, let me just spawn a couple more, I guess. You know, I just wanted to tower up a bit so that I could get out of the darkness so that I could actually see, but okay, he's mad. Can you do anything about it, though? Alright, I'm not gonna take the risk of incurring the wrath of those guys. I'm just gonna take my bits and get out of here, because that is not a friendly environment to be in, and there is not a lot there for me at the moment. There doesn't seem to be any echo shards. There aren't any, like, bits of armor or anything in the chests. It's like you get the occasional potion, you get bones, you get books. The occasional enchanted book. I don't even know if Swift Sneak is weighted to appear like more than other books. Huh. There you go. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Okay. So the whole reason to do this was to put these onto a pair of boots, since only in this experimental snapshot can you put Swift Sneak onto boots, because upon the very next, you know, snapshots with the implementation of these into the non-experimental versions, they were like, oh, boots already have Depth Strider, boots already have Frostwalker, boots already have Feather Falling. You know, there's a lot of exclusive boot enchantments. There's a couple of exclusive helmet enchantments. But, you know, your chest plate and your leggings, they got nothing. So, upon actual implementation, Swift Sneak was made to be a leggings enchantment, which makes getting Swift Sneak on boots a special feature. meant to be exclusive to this experimental snapshot. Pretty sure that's all I need here. I hope that's all I need here. Yeah, you know, I didn't quite realize how long the few things that I've done in this episode would take. I think the bundle stuff took about, you know, half an hour. So I'm not gonna be getting up to the most recent version in this video unless I make it like 2 hours long, and you know, I'm relatively satisfied with the length of how these are going at the moment, so I'll make this the last thing I do here, and then I can start off with, you know, another cool thing at the start of the next video, where I finally get to blow up those creepers that I've been holding since like 1.13. But I believe what I have to do, this is release 1.19.1 by the way, which is the only, like, you know, non-snapshot version that I'm playing in up until I get to the current release, because this snapshot has a bug which allows you to keep absorption hearts by eating golden apple and then enchanted golden apple in a particular order. I don't remember exactly which one it is. I did the enchanted apple first here, and if that doesn't work, then I can just do it the other way around. And this is gonna let me, you know, keep a bit of an extended health cap, and the absorption hearts won't go away as they should. It'll get rid of 2 of them, but the other 6 should still remain. Yeah, there we go. The absorption 4 effect ran out, and then I had a couple of seconds of the absorption 1 effect, and then that ran out, and it got rid of only 2 of the absorption hearts. And so I can actually stack this to get more absorption hearts, and this is technically a way to get a countless number of absorption hearts that will stay with you until you use them, which essentially means that I could get, you know, enough hearts to fill up the entire screen, theoretically. I'm not gonna do that. It seems a bit excessive and unnecessary. I'm probably just gonna, you know, maybe do it 2 or 3 times to give myself a bit of extra buffer and to show off that this is a cool thing that can happen. There we go. 30 extra hearts. 5 enchanted golden apples. Seems like plenty to me. And that's as good a place as any to leave it off. I know I didn't actually do too many things this episode, but the things that I did do ended up taking quite a bit of time. Yeah, I only ticked off 4 things from the list. It is what it is. And that just means that I have stuff still to do next time. Maybe next time I'll get up to the most recent version. Or maybe things will take longer than I expect them to once again. Who knows? But that's it from me for now.